with Saintt, the head coach of the Minnesota RØKKR. I see the RØKKR in the chat. Thanks for being here. And thanks for all of you for being here, by the way. If you got any questions for Saintt, feel free to throw them in the chat. We're going to be here for a little bit. We talked earlier about how the strategy and the planning will change as the league moves to an online format, and also how Saintt feels about an online format. And as we continue to dive into that, one question I do have is, early on in the league in the season, Brian, the change was made to make every weekend a tournament format, very traditional to Call of Duty, obviously, from what it was originally announced, which was regular season games. Assuming that we will get a schedule moving forward, what, in your opinion, when we move to an online format, and I'm asking your opinion here, what would you think the ideal schedule would look like?
I definitely think sticking to something tournament based would be the best method. Ideally though, I'd like something spread out throughout the entire week. You know, like we have matches Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or so on, so such. So it's just constant matches, and not just once like a weekend every weekend. So there's a lot more content spread out throughout the week.
And for you, though, as a coach and your players, would you prefer them playing, say, one game 3 or 4 days a week, or would you rather condense them, have several games across 2 days or one day?
I mean, as a coach, I like having one match, every day or so we can prep for that one match a lot more. That's always the format I preferred as a coach. But I know a lot of the players like playing multiple matches a day.
Especially, I wonder how that changes when there's no travel involved, though. When they're sitting at home, I wonder if they're more.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think being at home for an online match, they would honestly prefer to do a one match a day format rather than banging out a bunch of online matches back to back to back.
So for people who aren't necessarily, I mean, we all know ping, we all know lag, like we all know what challenges bring online versus
hmm
LAN. But even at a high level, what are some of the nuances that change when you're playing competitive games online versus LAN?
I think it's mostly a mindset thing. On land, you have the crowd in front of you. You have the mindset that you're there for a tournament. All the money's on the line. The lights are on you. The cameras are on you. And now we're taking a bit of a step back, and we're just going to be playing from our little office space or our bedrooms. People have to be able to get in the mindset that these are still tournaments for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even though we're playing online, we need to come in with the same intensity and effort that we're bringing to our land matches.
I know that some teams in other esports, even if they're playing at home, some coaching staffs will say, "We want you to dress a certain way. Like,
hmm
don't come in your shorts and t-shirt or your pajamas. Like, wear the uniform. I want you to treat this completely as if it is a real game, no matter where we are." Will you be? How will you treat it? Like even off of the game, will you instill things like that so that you can get your players in that mindset?
Not so much. I think when we were practicing at our facility when everyone was here, everyone generally wore what they'd be wearing for a match. Everyone pretty much always had their game hoodie and black pants and stuff. No one was really going around in shorts or anything like that when we were practicing at our facility. Everyone kind of wanted to be as consistent as possible. So even with everyone spread at home, I think they're going to be practicing the same style.
Take me through. Let's shift gears and just talk about some of the teams around the league, or even just your observations around the league. Uh, from the last few tournaments, what are some teams around the league, whether you've played them or not, or just watched them, that have surprised you, that have exceeded your expectations?
Recently and even in the past month or so, I think Optic LA has been making a bunch of strides as a team. I definitely think they're quite a good team right now. I've seen in their match against us at LA as well. I think they're making a ton of strides. Besides them, I think New York's definitely looking a bit better with Mac Melts as well.
So can we dive into the Optic matchup, because that seemed like such an anomaly, especially like
hmm
for them because they hadn't really won in that fashion all season long, and for Minnesota because you hadn't lost in that fashion. But they were competitive games. It was 250,
Yeah.
208 on Hardpoint and Nazir Cave, right? And domination was 174, 172. It was very, very close
hmm
on St. Petrograd. So what happened?
I think the big issue for us was the break we had between our first match and that match. We played really early in the day. I think we got to the venue around 9 a.m. or so, and we basically didn't play that match until I think it was 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. So we just had a huge break in between our match and that match, and I think we kind of got burned out and drained just from sitting around waiting all day. A lot of our players kind of went back to our hotel and hung out a bit. Meanwhile, others just sat in the warm up area and shot like 3,000 bots in a free for all. So by the time that match came around, everyone was kind of just in a robotic sense going through the motions rather than being in a full match mindset.
That's a good point. Like people don't really think about how the players are spending time,
Mhm.
especially hours on end, right? Like what were you doing in that time?
I mean, we kind of went back toward the hotel and got some food downtown. Went there, ate real quick, and kind of came back and just sat around and watched the matches. Um, so in the future, knowing if we're gonna have a 8 hour, 9 hour break like we did there, we got to figure out how to utilize our time a little bit better and avoid burnout.
Take me into, let's stick with Los Angeles because I thought the final was fascinating too. So you beat Seattle twice, you meet Dallas in the final, right? And they go up 2-0 really fast
Hmm.
after St. Petrograd search and destroy 6-4. So what are you telling your team before game 3 to kind of cleanse the palate, get them focused again? What are some of the things you were saying to your team there?
Yeah, I mean, before the game three, everyone was still in a super good mindset. We knew the maps coming up for us were ones that we felt very confident in, or not so much the game three, because Gunrunner was a map that we had never played prior, but we were feeling pretty good about it, just due to our practices leading up to the event. So we thought we'd try it out in the finals since we felt like we'd match up pretty well on it against Dallas. And it ended up working out. We made a nice comeback in the last minute of the map where we were trailing the entire time before that, and we knew if we got through that map, we were going to go and win the Hackney Yard like we have been doing all year and put the game five pressure on them, tying up the series.
That hard point on Hackney Yard was a close one as well.
Yeah,
What
that was
252?
definitely
Yeah.
one of the closer ones I've seen. I cannot believe we broke that hill at the end.
It was a lot of fun to watch as a
Mm-hmm.
spectator. I'll tell you, that was a lot of fun. So, but now, like, it seems like incremental progress, right? Atlanta semifinals,
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles finals. It almost like a lot of Minnesota fans would say it's almost inevitable that a championship would come at some point, right? So, like, how do you process all of that? The fact that you've made these steps forward, but now the championship still looms. Like, how do you manage that with your team and sort of instill that confidence that they do have what it takes to win tournaments and to get more points in the league?
I mean, gradual progress has been our game from the start, ever since the beginning of the game. In the off season, people slated us as the number 10 team, the number 9 team. When the game came out, we constantly made strides, improving day by day, and getting on the radar as one of those top 4 teams. In regards to what the other pro teams are saying, and just constantly working on different things every day has been what's made us so good. And being in that finals was Alex, GodRX's, and ASIM's first grand final ever. So them just being in that final and kind of getting that experience is going to go a long way for us. Because even look at Dallas with the London event. That was the first time Illy's been in a final. That was the first time Shotzi's been in a final for COD, and just getting that repetition playing in a grand finals matchup just gives you so much more experience.
Oh, I mean, GodRX has been competing for quite a while
Yeah.
across multiple teams, right? And for him to have that moment there, especially with all the buzz around him, right? I mean, he's widely considered one of the best players out there, probably the best sniper in the league, him and Wiskins, right? I mean, like
Hmm.
they're so good. Like, how did they feel? Like when you were talking to him and Asim before the final, going through this first one, they finally get there. Like, were they nervous? How were you managing their emotions going into it?
I think everyone was just really excited. I mean, we were very fresh off a match before that too, and it was the match versus FaZe, which is the one we were looking forward to the entire tournament. So I think everyone was a bit too excited going to the start of the final and didn't really calm down a bit because we didn't have too much time to reset between those matches. We kind of immediately got off our side of the stage, had to switch over to the other side, do vetoes. Didn't really have too much time to sit back and settle down, getting ready for the match.
So are you happy that it's behind you now, like that they've had that experience now,
Hmm.
even if land might not come for quite some time, just the fact that particularly both of them have now experienced that in that moment, it has to be a positive there that they can take that with them.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels awesome, and the fact with land being far away too, I think it even fuels the hunger a bit more because everyone was kind of in the mindset, wow, we are gonna come out here, we're gonna win championships this year. Like everyone felt really good about being able to win multiple. And now that LAN is being on a bit of a postponement, I think it's just going to fuel the fire even more. So the next time we get out on that stage, whether it be in a month or 2 months, I think everyone's going to come out with an unreal form.